What if I told you that World War II wasn't just about tanks, planes, and soldiers? It was about secret codes, daring espionage, and decisions that shaped the world we live in today. From the beaches of Normandy to the atomic bomb, this war changed everything. But how did it really start? And could it have been prevented? Stick around, because in the next 7 minutes, we're going on a journey through one of the most defining events in human history, told in a way you've never heard before. World War II was the deadliest conflict in human history, with over 70 million lives lost. It wasn't just a war between armies. It was a war of ideologies, of global power shifts, and of ordinary people caught in extraordinary circumstances. But here's the thing. World War II didn't just happen out of nowhere. It was years in the making, with warning signs that many ignored. So how did the world plunge into this chaos? Let's rewind back to the 1920s and 30s, where the seeds of the deadliest war were planted. After World War I ended in 1918, the world thought it had seen the war to end all wars. The Treaty of Versailles forced Germany to accept full blame and pay massive reparations, crippling its economy. Meanwhile, the Great Depression of the 1930s pushed many countries into economic turmoil. Enter Adolf Hitler. He rose to power in Germany by promising to restore national pride and rebuild the military, directly defying the Treaty of Versailles. Meanwhile, Japan invaded China in 1937, and Italy, under Mussolini, was expanding in Africa. The world watched, but did little. Britain and France followed a policy of appeasement, hoping that giving Hitler what he wanted would prevent another war. But as we now know, it did the opposite. September 1st, 1939, Germany invades Poland. 2 days later, Britain and France declare war on Germany. Just like that, World War II had begun. At first, Hitler used Blitzkrieg, a strategy of fast-moving, overwhelming attacks, to conquer much of Europe. France fell in just 6 weeks. Britain was next on the list, but the Royal Air Force fought back in the Battle of Britain, preventing a Nazi invasion. Meanwhile, Hitler made a fateful decision. He turned east and invaded the Soviet Union in 1941. That decision would prove disastrous. But something else happened in 1941 that changed the game completely. Japan bombed Pearl Harbor. On December 7, 1941, Japan launched a surprise attack on the US naval base at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. Within hours, America was at war. With the US now involved, the Allies, Britain, the Soviet Union, and China, gained a powerful new ally. The war was no longer just a European conflict. It had become a truly global war. From the Pacific Islands to the deserts of North Africa, battles raged on multiple fronts. Meanwhile, behind enemy lines, secret resistance movements were fighting back, gathering intelligence and sabotaging Nazi operations. But as brutal as the battles were, something far darker was happening in the shadows: the Holocaust. As the world focused on the battles, Hitler carried out one of history's greatest atrocities: the Holocaust. Over 6 million Jewish men, women, and children were murdered in concentration camps, along with millions of others, including Romani people, disabled individuals, and political dissidents. The world wouldn't fully grasp the horrors of the Holocaust until Allied troops liberated the camps in 1945. By then, it was clear. This war wasn't just about land and power. It was about humanity itself. By 1942, the tide of the war was turning. In the Pacific, the US won a decisive battle at Midway, stopping Japanese expansion. In North Africa, the British defeated Germany's Desert Fox, Erwin Rommel. And in the Soviet Union, the Battle of Stalingrad became a brutal turning point. Hitler's forces suffered massive losses, and the Soviets began pushing west. Then came 1944, and the biggest invasion in history. June 6, 1944, D-Day. Over 150,000 Allied troops stormed the beaches of Normandy, France, beginning the liberation of Europe. This was the beginning of the end for Hitler. As the Allies pushed from the west, the Soviet Union was closing in from the east. By April 1945, Soviet troops entered Berlin. Hitler, realizing defeat was inevitable, took his own life in his bunker. Just days later, Germany surrendered on May 8, 1945, Victory in Europe Day, or VE Day. But the war wasn't over yet. In the Pacific, Japan was still fighting fiercely. The US had a devastating new weapon, the atomic bomb. On August 6, 1945, the US dropped the first atomic bomb on Hiroshima, killing over 80,000 people instantly. 3 days later, a second bomb hit Nagasaki. On August 15th, Japan surrendered. The war was finally over. But at what cost? The use of atomic bombs remains one of the most controversial decisions in history. Some say it saved millions of lives by ending the war quickly. Others argue it set a dangerous precedent for future warfare. One thing is certain: World War II had reshaped the world. After the war, the world had to rebuild. The United Nations was formed to prevent future conflicts. But tensions between the US and the Soviet Union led to the Cold War. Meanwhile, Germany and Japan, once enemies, rebuilt into modern economic powerhouses. But the scars of the war still remain, in memorials, in survivor stories, and in the lessons history teaches us. World War II was more than just a war. It was a turning point in human history. It showed both the depths of human cruelty and the heights of human bravery. So, why does this matter today? Because history has a way of repeating itself if we don't learn from it. If you enjoyed this deep dive into World War II, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a new history video. Let me know in the comments. What part of World War II do you find the most fascinating? Until next time, keep exploring history. It's full of incredible stories just waiting to be told.